Hey, welcome back to another Netcast. I'm Rich Lopez, Quantrix Authority. Sincerely appreciate you joining me for episode number 78, where I'm going to show you how to deal with a startup error. When maybe your file's too large, you need to make sure you're checking the memory settings. I have here a Quantrix model. This is a very large file. It's 15 megs. So you can see when I highlight it, it says 15 megs right here. I'm going to go ahead and double click on this, and I'm going to get an error in just a little bit of time that I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how to fix that error. So I'll just pause it till that error comes up. Alright, so we're back at it. Here is the error that I receive on this 15 meg file and that my coworker received the other day. It says startup error, and an error occurred during startup. Well, if I was a programmer, I could scroll through this and probably find out exactly what was wrong with it. Problem is, not a programmer per se. I can see that it's probably a Java error, and it's an error. But as I scroll through it, not a lot of it makes sense to me, except for at the very bottom here, it says caused by out of memory. So when I saw that, I thought, well, I bet it's because the memory settings in Quantrix are still at kind of the default setting, which is super low. What I mean by that, I'm going to go ahead and click OK and just kind of close this error. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up just a regular version of Quantrix. Just a vanilla model, if you will. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a vanilla model of Quantrix, and I'm going to go out here to Tools, Options, Memory. And I'm actually going to maximize my memory on this one. And what I mean by maximize my memory is I'm going from 800 megabytes to the maximum amount of RAM that I have available on my machine. And by doing that, I'm telling Quantrix that it can go ahead and it can use all of my RAM in calculating a model. And we found this, at least in my experience, I've found this to be what you want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out here to my computer, and I'm going to open up another one of my computer, go to Computer, go to Properties, and you can see under System it says that I have 16 gigs of RAM installed. So 16 gigs is about 16,000 megabytes. So I'm going to put 16,000 in here, okay, and I'm going to click OK. It's going to tell me that, hey, you're changing some settings here, and usually 800 megs is okay. And I'll say, well, I want it to be 1600 megs because 800 wasn't allowing me to open the model. And I click through the prompts there to go OK. You do have to close out of Quantrix and reopen it for it to take effect. So I close out of it, I'll exit it entirely, and then I will go back to this model, this honkin' file of 15 megs, and I double click on it like I did before, and it should open now without a hitch. And again, the reason why it wasn't open is because the model, when it is open, is taking up more than 15 or more than the 800 megabytes of RAM that Quantrix is being allotted to use within its settings. So we'll wait for it for just a second, and we should see it open up. And I think I'll pause it till it does open, because it is a kind of a large file, and it does take a little bit of time for it to open. Well, there I am talking, and it went ahead and it opened. So now I can navigate this model just fine. I can use it because I did go into Tools, Options again, and I changed my maximum memory to match the amount of RAM that I have available on my machine. So I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions about any errors you're receiving in Quantrix, or if you have any questions about Quantrix generally, feel free to reach out to me at quantrixauthority@gmail.com. I absolutely love Quantrix. I want to make you a Quantrix master, so I hope you'll join me for another episode of Quantrix Authority with Rich Lopez.